know, it's on AI, I mean AI engineering and data engineering regarding the fintech industry in Ethiopia. So, Mem, oh, mm, okay. Oh, I see. I see. Um, Let me check my connection. Let me switch off. Um, am I audible now? Can anybody confirm? Okay, thank you. From where I start, so the data that we are going to be giving you guys is based on the actual industry of the fintech in Ethiopia. And so the career challenge is going to be having career contents that are going to upskill your uh, skills that are needed for your enhancement in your career path. And so we have a communication channel that is Slack. I'm sure you all have joined Slack. If you know anyone that hasn't already, please let them know so that they join us. And because we use basically Slack for everything for communication. And so we will be expecting you guys to communicate there. We have different channels. We have the community building channel, which we use for community building sessions. We have Emilian, our community manager, also our career tutor. He will be giving us the session there. We have the week 0 channel where we communicate anything that's related to the technical challenge, to the career challenge. Any questions are answered on the week 0 channel. Yeah, so everything that's the schedule is also going to be shared there. There's the broadcast channel. There, trainees cannot send any message there, but we will be announcing sessions there, as well as, of course, week 0. We have a women only channel that is only for women. And we will add a recording session recordings channel where we upload recorded sessions there. So every session is recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel, but we will provide the link uh, right after the recording is done and it's uploaded. So upload time is about 2 hours maximum. And so we will be uploading 2 hours after the session is held. So the schedule that we shared, let me just share my screen and take you all through the schedule. Um, Give me a moment. Um, 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 Schedule on Notion. For today, it's May 15th, and our session that is now is the daily stand-up. It's Introduction to Scan Academy and the Kifiya program. Yababa will dive deeper on that, and then the next session is going to be at 2:30. So this schedule is going to adjust to your device's um, time zone. Default time is in EAT, but so 12:30 p.m. means 6:30 local time. So yeah, you can refer to it as that. And the third session for today is going to be at 4 p.m., meaning 10 p.m. Local time. And then we'll have our community building session. It's a 30-minute session, but you guys can communicate, can keep going after the session ends as well. And then independent challenge work means this time is free for you guys to work on the challenges given. So which sessions you don't want to miss is the stand-up sessions. Are the main ones that you don't want to miss because we have it every day at the same time that we are having it now. And there we ask, the questions are out there, answers are given there, progress are communicated there. So it would be really helpful for you guys to join the stand-up session. The other one for today, what you're going to miss is the introduction to the challenge document, to the technical challenge document. So we have introduction to the challenge document, to the technical challenge document here today, and then on May 17th, we have a career challenge introduction. So you don't want to miss that because that's where you basically get the idea of what you're going to work on. So that would be two tutorials. The first one is on data science workflow and Crispy and basics. And then we have another tutorial at 2 p.m. And then on May 17, as I said, we have a tutorial regarding the technical challenge. And then you have a career challenge introduction. So we have two submissions. As you all know, you've logged in. I'm sure many of you that are here have already confirmed your account and logged into 10x. 10x is where we submit our assignments. So that's where you guys will be submitting your technical as well as career challenge documents, the ones you work on. And there for technical challenge, we have two types of submission. The one is the interim submission, and the other one is the final submission. Part of your whole submission. So if you're given like 4 tasks, 2 tasks are supposed to be submitted on the interim submission. That is to make sure you guys are working throughout the week and not rush at the end of the week to submit the final assignment. So interim submission can help really in a really good way because they will keep you consistent. And so for the interim and also for the final submission, the technical challenge document is gonna mention every single detail on how you will submit. So that won't be difficult, especially if you join the introduction to the challenge session. And the final submission is going to be on May 21st. That includes the final submission for the technical as well as the career. So for career challenge, we don't have an interim submission. We only have final submissions so that you guys don't get confused. So on this schedule, there's this link. There's the meeting link that we will use. You will find the time. You'll find where it's going to be held. Oh, I'm sorry. Is my voice breaking?
Yeah, Monkey. Yeah, you kind of break up a little bit, but at the same time, it's okay. Like it's in a way that you still continue, so it's not total blockage. So go on and finish, and I think because people also can see the words, then it's easier, understandable.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so basically this is the schedule that we will be using. What I would like to say is if you have any question regarding the schedule, we can talk about it later. But so I really recommend that you guys are engaged on our Slack channel, ask questions, tag us. All the tutors and I as well are there to help to support you. So please use the Slack channel. And if you can, because week 0 is an assessment, I would really recommend that you join all sessions that are possible for you to join. But of course, we will post a session recording, so that's fine as well. And another thing is you will find the technical and also the career challenge document on 10x. So whenever a challenge document is released, we will let you know. And you can go ahead, log into your 10x account, and then find the challenge document there. So you'll find the challenge document there. You can work from there and submit it on the 10x as well. So that's in short what the week 0 is going to look like. Yeah, Baban, if you can
maybe
go
just
ahead.
before you don't stop sharing, just so that I can summarize what you just said, because somehow you were slightly breaking. It's basically, if you look at if you look at everyone at the Notion document, then it's very clear. Like, this is the schedule that gives you every detail. And then, of course, the Slack channel also has, we will share relevant details as well as there. So as long as, you by just looking at the Notion, that you actually will know, but also the Slack will provide, basically people can share and can ask. So in that sense, the communication will be clear, and you will not miss anything. That said, I think just the key components are, the calendar is the calendar. So that means these are events at particular times. I think Makeda just said, where the times, basically the daily stand-up and tutorials, as well as challenge walkthroughs, pose the technical, which I will do now, as well as also the career challenge, which will happen according to the calendar. So I think that's the very summary. And 10x, which is the platform that we use, like, you can think of it as the learning management system for this training. So basically everything you do, like, you get your challenge documents will be shared through that. And when you want to submit the tasks that you have performed, the report, the GitHub and others, then there will be in 10x, you will have it. I think there will be probably a session as well that takes you through. It's not already happened, but you already experienced the 10x during application, the 1-hour quiz. So that's the application version of 10x. This is the training version of 10x. And it will be very simple and clear. So you basically know exactly where to submit. And if you don't, you can actually ask in Slack, and then we will actually tell you as well. But it's a very easy platform that you go into your like in 10x. Once you log in, that you will know exactly where to submit, because the actual particular task will be highlighted there, like you have to submit. And when you click it, then it asks you for your link, if it's a Google Doc, a Google Drive link, or it's a GitHub link. You just put it there and that's it. So in a way, you should not be, it's a very straightforward, simple digital platform. Everybody here will definitely, no doubt, will find it easy. And if there is any challenge, then you will ask in Slack and people will attend to you. So I think that's probably a summary. That was very more detailed. I was just more summarizing. Is that clear to anyone? If there's anything, maybe just you are somehow doubting that you have some questions, maybe you can. Okay, Deborah. Deborah, do you have a question? Okay, great. Or Nabil, yeah.
Thank you for your explanation. My one question is, can you give us some detail about the submission, the interim submission, and the full submission, please?
Okay, yes. So the submission is associated, of course, to the task, right? So I am going to explain the task, and then so basically that answers that question. But basically the idea is that almost always we have intermediate submission, the final submission. Intermediate means it's just basically in the middle between the deadline and the time, just today. you will submit. So I will explain what the task is, and the task for both like in the intermediate and final normally are report. So you write a report according to what in the challenge document, and then you basically submit the link, as well as also you have been working on a GitHub. So you have to create a GitHub repository for this week 0, and you basically give that link to it. So is that kind of a very at least brief answer that understandable maybe you, or do you have a specific question?
I have question.
Yeah, go on, Michael.
Okay. Could you grant us an access to export this schedule to Notion calendar or any Google calendar? I think it's not possible now.
Not sure. So Makeda, is there a way to synchronize for people to access it, or is it just like it's a Notion calendar?
Yeah.
But it's yeah, Makeda, do you know? I'm not sure. Bruce already answered that it is, yeah, it is possible to duplicate.
But so this is how you can pin it.
It says, but I think we preferred, I think Bruce,
I think it's not
yeah,
able now to. It's not. There is no option or any to export this calendar.
Yeah. So this is. Yeah, I see. So this is a published calendar.
Okay.
We publish it and share it. That's why it's not editable. It's not. You're not able to duplicate. So we will pin it on our Slack channel, and every session is also announced right before the session, like 10 minutes early.
Yeah. I think yeah. So the part is maybe that the answer, Michael, is that probably we will see. I think it would be great to find a way if it is possible. If it's possible, of course. If it's not possible, unfortunately, we can't do because we are using this at the moment. But yeah, it would be good to look at if there is a way from our side we can do so that you can synchronize it to your Google Calendar or other calendar. But at this point, I think my understanding is that based on what Makeda said, it's just a published calendar and you have it there. And we probably, yeah, we'll pin it in Slack and you will find it, but probably that's as far as we know so far. So we'll come back to you if it's possible. If there's anything we can do from our side so that you can synchronize with your calendar. Okay. And Mikhail, if Nabiyu, you have already, I assume, Michael, your question is answered. But if Nabiyu, do you have still your question? Like, you have question or?
No, I got you.
Okay.
Can continue. Yeah.
Okay. And Mikhail?
Some of us joined late due to some inconveniences. So can we get a quick recap that you missed?
Manu? Mikhail? Manalke?
Some of us
It's
joined
not
late,
me.
so can we get a quick recap of what you missed?
I think, so you mean Kazi session letter? Kazi session letter alone? So this session like Makeda described, so basically Makeda described the calendar, basically the plan for this week, for week 0. And that is everything that she said is in the Notion calendar, so you have access to it. And I'm gonna describe the challenge walkthrough. So basically what's the challenge about, what are the tasks? Basically by challenge, it means a week has 2 challenges. One is a technical challenge and the other one is a career challenge. እነዚህ ሁለት ቻለንጆች የራሳቸው የሆኑ ታስኮች አሏቸው። እነዛ ታስኮች you work on them and then you submit your work, basically just like And because it's more like a work simulation, like in academic training, your work simulation ስለሆነ what happens is that you basically, we give you more or less like in a work environment, we say, here is the goal, the business goal. And then that goal is defined, translated into the actual data analytic, data science, data, basically data engineering tasks. And those are basically saying, okay, if the business would require a solar company wants to set up internationally a certain challenge, and then that is translated into a data science objectives, and we say, okay, you are treating yourself as a data analytics or as a data scientist or as a data engineer. Do this task, set up a GitHub, or then analyze, produce this type of plots. So we act like you're kind of immediate boss, right? So who knows who's a senior in this area, who then translates business objective as also a kind of talent. You have to understand, you have to talk and understand what the immediate boss or the senior person is saying, and then translate to the best knowledge with the skills you have, so that you can learn as well as deliver. Right? So that's the work situation. So I will describe it. That's more or less the setup. Is that clear? Great. And someone is maybe not muted, so we can see a lot more. If you are not muted, if you can mute, that would be great. Bill Suma. If you can, yeah. And yeah, just so that, because we are so many, and there is also Stefanos, you're not muted. In case you can mute, so that if there are noise, because when there are a lot of people, we have to be, yeah. And then as well as also, I think the other is fine, just so that we have everybody's hears clearly what we are saying. Okay. Do we have another question before I go on? Daniel, maybe Getacho. So Getacho, do you have a question? Getacho Ganfur?
No.
Okay. Daniel?
Hello. Thank you for having me. I have one question. I don't know if you answered that before, but is there any penalty for submitting the project on final submission, or is there any bonus points for submitting on intermediate?
So you mean,
or it will be the same?
Late or like late? Because if you don't submit, of course, this is how we evaluate whether.
No, I mean my question is there are two days to submit, right? The intermediate and the final.
So they are, one is the intermediate comes first, and then final.
Yeah, on Sunday. On the Sunday, yes. Yeah. The final is on the Wednesday. So if we submit on Sunday, do we have a bonus points, or also if we submit on the final,
is good.
Is there any penalty?
Yes, being on time is 1 point. Like basically, we have we take that in the evaluation. Being late.
So there is a penalty. So there is a penalty for submitting on final day, which means on Sunday, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I mean, it just as the dates to submit are clear. So, and if you can submit on time, that basically means you are more professional in that sense. So, which we take into account.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. And I know that some of you probably have to go, and so let me just go directly to the challenge, and then I will ask the question afterwards. So whatever question you have in the middle as well, you can. So just let's start from there. So Makda, if you can stop then the presentation, then I will just present. So the most important part you have to get today is that first is what you need to do, right? And then second is also, if you have any questions, just ask as much as possible so that it's clear. ለምንድን ነው ይሄ ቀን በጣም clear ከሆነላችሁ, so when you come some things are not clear, Some people are starting already very advanced, and they might think this is already very easy. And some people are very come maybe gonna ብዙም እዚህ ላይ ሰርተው አያውቁም. So you might really think like, oh, this is hard. It's fine. As long as, I think the most important element we ask is that be hungry, show, demonstrate that you want it, you want to learn. We have systems that really helps you. You will see it over time. And also we have really amazing tutors who, if you are interested, they want to make you where you want to be, right? So basically being able to like access any data science, data engineering, AI engineering jobs. So in that sense, but that job, of course, comes through first is about like, think of this one as internship. In internship, you can do two things. Hedachu just put low, like, okay, nice, you are there. I think that is fine, but for your next job, it's very important that in that internship, you actually learn as much as possible, because this is a voluntary thing, right? So you came here dedicating your time. So the most, and then we, on the other side, you know, we have an incentive that you actually are good. We want everyone here to finish. And we want so that, you know, that a lot of people can work, and, you know, the skill gap in Ethiopia is so much. And as much as when people are kind of doing this, the entire, let alone just individually, everybody gets really, of course, good and advanced, but also as a whole, like the fintech area, as well as that whichever area that you work, will benefit from that. So one now, it's the most important, really part. It might be difficult. In that case, persist. It will get, you know, you will get used to. Nobody really like knew how they worked, but it was like for 1 year, all of us probably really struggled to walk, right, when we were kids. So, but it will pass. Not just that, as recent as anything you have done, when you learn something new, it always is some hard. When you are changing, and it doesn't come for free. It's just through your determination and persistence and support that you would actually love. Of course, your parents supported you for work, and your parents supported you probably also to go to school and learn how to read and all that. And then also you supported yourself, or the university helped you to also get introduced with concepts and ideas in your current field. So this is just as one. You know it, I'm just repeating it so that it's clear. It sounds sometimes difficult, but it's just because it's the first time. Everything the first time sounds very difficult, different, but you will get used to it one way or another, and you will get the hang of it. But to do that, you have to persist. So if you want it, the very simple advice I have is just persist. We will support you through that process. You can basically just be willing, don't be afraid. You know, as I said, it will just be 3 months, and you will find yourself completely transformed in 3 months if you put the effort. And imagine, with that transformation, you can achieve a lot more other things that are not possible today, probably. So that's the kind of the very simple advice, like, or it's just very simple, just basically alignment. And so the challenge, the challenge that we have is very simple. It's generic. So the first part is you have to understand why we are doing this. This is week 0 in the academy. Just to align that we are on the same page. We had a 1-hour test where we just assessed whether the requirements, you have it. Yes, great. The next part is that do you have it also, what it takes to get to, like, you know, it's a 3 months. It's not a university. 4 years is already, even after 4 years, people may not be able to do much. But, you know, in 3 months, all we can do is really accelerate that process in such a way that you kind of you have already the university foundational things, like, you know, whatever it is, and you are talented. And here it's to really equip you. Basically, one way to think of it is your CV. You know, whenever people look at you, sometimes the very first thing they look at you is your CV or your profile. And so in that profile, they see where you are working, right? So if you are also interviewing anybody for a job, what you see is that their CV and their profile, and then you say like, okay, you know, this person went to, let's say, some accounting. or software engineering or mechanical engineering or this. And then you say, okay, this person, with that, I have a certain understanding what the person can do. But then, oh no, this person went to this job and have some experience. For example, even if they are graduates from statistics or physics, they actually went into an accounting firm to do something. Oh, great. And then it's like that. So, right, so profile CV means people would look and then think what you are supposed to do based on the work experience you have and the education you have, the courses you have taken. So this part of 10 Academy is to show, okay, when people look at you from fintech or another area, what have you done relates to what I want. You will get in your CV these 12 projects that really increase imagine. It's like when you look at a CV, if a person has one project, great. But if they have 10 projects successfully done, and they are diverse as like credit scoring, as diverse as like, let's say insurance elements or fraud detection and things like, I mean, you really will be, the people will be like, okay, great. I mean, they have, even if it's a small one week project, but they have done really amazing. So you will no doubt they actually will do what what you are going to hire for. So it's to assess that, to be able to say what it takes. You will know from the week 0, what does projects of those types looks like. So you've already, some of you, as I said, already have done this kind of projects, but this in any way, even if you have done that, this is a very structured, as I said, it's more like internship type in this area. So this week's challenge is really focused on data engineering, financial analytics, and machine learning engineering. So it's a kind of combination, and we point out which ones are actually like, because in a smaller company, a work would involve everybody, like one single person will do everything. They become a data engineer as well as financial analysts, as well as machine learning engineer, because the company just can't afford or really is not building its business around that. In a very specialized environment, like if you are, let's say in Google, of course, data engineers are really data engineers. They do really, because the data is large and things like that. So the role becomes very clear. So that means the data engineers will do really relates to data. Still, the financial analysts work on data, but they work less on data engineering, but more focused. Their most time will be spent on financial analytics, while also the machine learning engineers a lot more work on experimenting and doing machine learning. Given that you are trained for this general role, so you're going to be in this program, you're going to do the 4 actually, the AI engineering, so there as well. So the 4 elements in one project, they come with it, so that you are aware of, what's kind of data. When you do data engineering, you know what expected from data engineers. You will know also what's expected from financial analysts, as well as also machine learning engineers, and then AI engineers. So it's clearer. Sometimes the one project contains multiple components of that. Okay, so this is one, and it's a win-win scenario. So that means even if you proceed or not proceed after week 0, this project in itself, you can put it in your portfolio. So that every time you spend on doing this project will be useful, will increase your profile, your CV, your LinkedIn profile. That's the most important part, because we don't want you to waste any time. Even if you continue or not continue, the amount of time that you spend here should have a practical value to you. And the same is for every other challenge that we will have in the future. So it's a very much, think of it this way. It's a win for us, because we will know how much, if you're not really be able to serious, of course, we don't want to waste time and energy, because maybe that, that's not suitable. But at the same time, it will help us like to know how much serious you are. And then it's also a win for you, even if you spend whatever amount of time you possible, that you will use this to increase your profile. So it is a valuable project in its own. Okay. So with that, the most important things, as I said, like whichever company you are, whatever role you're doing it under a business context, right? So there is no project. Even learning in the university, you've done it without any objective, but you have to know. It's just that we were not told explicitly the objective. but there was an objective. You want to get a job after graduation for this role. So if you didn't really understand what businesses ምን የሚፈልጉ እንደሆነ ካላወቃችሁት ከዩኒቨርሲቲ ስትወጡ it will become harder to get a job. But those people who really knew, for example, what businesses want from that profession, so if they did, for example, some quant related, or like accounting, or let's say economics or physics, if they knew exactly what businesses want and use that to address, that would be basically in their advantage, right? So they will have that advantage to be able to do. So it's very clear, it should be very clear that the business objective is not just optional. If you just do it without that context, the business context, you will basically be like, you will basically be just, in a simpler terms, you will be paid less because you're not really, and you probably won't get a job, right? But let's call it, even if you have a job, and if you don't really understand the business context, you will get it, you'll basically just not deliver value. If you don't deliver value, any business is gonna pay you as much as you pay them, right? So it's basically, it's an investment. So if you don't just get that equation right, that means whatever they pay you, they get more. They basically just won't pay you much, right? So it's that really relationship. So the business objective here is good to always understand, to learn, practice. It's as part of that context. The business context is part of the work itself. It's not just, okay, I don't have to understand. So for that reason, all challenges start from business context, business objective. የዚህኛው challenge, week 0 business objective ምንድን ነው? Like, think of it, you are working for a Moonlight Energy Solutions, a company that is trying to optimize, of course, its investment by selecting areas and places where they can invest or should invest to build a solar investment, right? Or a solar a company, or solar energy driven investments. So for that company, so because they are, Pan-African companies, they really have, they want for whatever investment, they want to get the maximum return. So for example, if they put a solar farm in a place that is actually has lots of wind, and it will break the solar panels more often, it's basically a loss of the investment. Or if they basically the sun change, it's kind of very variable, and that it's not efficient in the storage. I mean, that's another one that they basically it means a loss for investment. So it's about these processes everywhere. If a bank is, for example, trying to open a branch, knowing where they open is important, right? So because without that, it would be, it's like you open a branch where most people are not there, it's just that branch will not provide more return for the banks. But if they really open it in the right optimally places, that means most people will go, customers will be happy that you get services, you provide services, and for that investment, you basically get a return. So this is everywhere, not only in banks, but for every other company. If it's a shop, the same. If you have a chain, for example, Kaldis, let's say, where you have to go to know the highest return. If you have to open, 10 Kaldis shops, where will be the actual places that would give you more? So this optimization, when you do it even at large, as a sense of, like, for example, delivery and others, it becomes quite a warehouse building. It's even more, it can be a lot more complex. There is called linear programming, that it's just more a way of optimizing that. But in this case, it's a very simple analytics. So I'm just more motivating the business objective. For example, I remember, I have been part of the COVID vaccine distribute ለማድረግ የመጀመሪያ ሲመጣ, we had to think about where to put centers, like such that people can go and vaccinate. And those are very similar problems, because if you put it in one, in non-optimal places, one place will be very crowded and the other place will be very less, and then your vaccine, which is very expensive, will probably expire, or things like that. So the same objectivity in different areas is also the objectivity here. Okay, so the part is that in this particular thing, it's you're working for that, and you're trying to optimize using machine learning and basically the machine learning and analytics and data engineering. And the data is the one you will work on. So the data, you assume that another team, which is basically an engineering team, have collected this data from multiple places. So they have set up these sensors in different places, and they basically have measured, and they gave you this table, basically, that contains this number of columns, and what each columns are. They told you exactly this. So your role is, one is just to understand. If you have question, you ask. In this case, there's a lot more you can ask about these things just in the internet, and you can ask also within the Slack. You can communicate in the tutorials they will give you, but you have to understand, just because as a data scientist, as a data analytics, you're almost going to be working in different types of data. Sometimes in these solar recording sensors, IoTs, and another one you might be working on basically transaction data. You might be working, so you will just get to know that area by just working on the data. So just your part is like, yeah, no, none of you probably worked on this type of data. You just have to know now, so that it helps you to analyze. Okay. And the topics that will be covered in this week 0 are just basically, of course, programming, Python programming, just simple GitHubs, like how to set up your GitHub, how to work with GitHub, as well as also understanding the data. In data understanding metric, it's just what it is, how is that related, what's the basic element of it. You will not be an expert in solar data, but you will just know at least what's relevant. So you have to read what they are, how they affect each other, so that you have a working principle, a working knowledge for that. And so this data understanding and exploration will help you understand the statistical relationship between data and things like that. And the CI/CD is basically just how then, when once you have set up and you want to show to people, or you want to deploy this continuous integration, which is basically that you will do through GitHub. So that means your work is continuously integrated. That's one principle, and the continuous deployment is another concept, where if you are now giving this, whatever you work on, to other people, it should be through the continuous development. So, and then how you would deploy it through a platform, a kind of a dashboard is a simple Python. If you have been working in R, it's called Shiny, and if you are working in Python, there are many, but one of them, the very simplest, easiest, and beautiful to set up, is just Streamlit, because it's very simple. You just and that will be one topic. Okay, so as was said, the challenge introduction, it's happening now, right? And the interim submission is basically, that is at 8 p.m. UTC, which basically, because we are UTC 3 in Ethiopia, has basically ከምሽቱ 11 ሰዓት ማለት ነው። ከምሽቱ 11 ሰዓት you will have to submit. That's a deadline. When what we say late is just when you submit after that, it's called late. And if you submit by that time or before, that's called just on time. And then the final submission is again the similar time. That means 11 saat kalalitu on Wednesday, the next 21 May. So that's basically it. And this is just the calendar, the submission. 10x is the submission platform. So in terms of what is task one is really about setting up. Some of you probably have never worked with Git or did that much coding. Some of you are a very advanced coder. So you have to understand, yeah, if it's easy, great, you have done it. You probably already have done it, or you will do it. If you have not done it, it's not that difficult. There is a step, just basically how to set up, and you're working on it, you will learn it, and you will see just it's a lot more, not as hard. So set up as what is described in this task one, right? So it's basically, you initialize a repository, you have your repository. If you are not in GitHub, you will just register in GitHub, and then you basically set up. So in that GitHub, like your GitHub account, then in that GitHub account, you will have multiple GitHub repositories. So when we say GitHub repo, it means like the one you will create for this particular challenge, for the week 0. So you basically create that, and then you will clone it so that it can work inside it. Just so you know, if you ask like anything, just how to clone it. If you have not worked on it, so it should be very easy to set up. People will help you, tutors will help you. If you have done that, then that means this is very easy. And so you learn also the principles of working with Git. It's the whole point is that you can branch something so that you can work on experimentation, and then you will commit it and you'll merge it. So there's this concept of working with Git, so you'll get the hang of it. And then the basic CI is basically like how you continuously integrate and test. That's basically using GitHub Actions. You will just also test one. Again, it's very not that difficult. README is basically your description for that repository in a nice way. So if you have seen already, by looking other people's repository, you will already know a lot more what's good and what's not. And here we've just given a simple structure that will help you. What's your GitHub folder, or basically your GitHub folder means your local folder that you're working, how they are structured, kind of suggested folder structure. In task 2, now you have that. You have put locally in the data folder the data that I said, like just this data, which you can go and click here and download. And then you start working on that. So first is just loading the data. If you know already about data frame Python, this is very simple. You just load it into pandas, and then you can basically just describe, understand what it is. So it's basically that. And then you start working on, are there in this data outliers? So as I say, the business objective, you don't forget. You're trying to understand like whether you will be able, which places are optimal for set up this. But to do that, so that was the business objective. You can think of it as data science objective or data analytics objective. This is more, you are breaking it down such that go to that step, to the final business objective. To answer that question, you have to do any number of steps. The first step is, of course, you set up your analysis pipeline, right? It's just basically your environment. The second part is you understand the data. What is the data about? How are two columns correlate? How is the wind versus like the solar radiation? How are they comparing, between different, you're kind of understanding. Is there actually gaps? Because sometimes, when you were recording, it was raining, so the sensors were not probably reading. So, okay, in that case, maybe it was malfunctioning. So, there are some gaps in time because it's time series data. ስለዚህ እነዛን አንደርስታንድ የምታደርጉበት ነው። ዋት ኢዝ ዴታ፣ ምን አይነት ነው ሰመሪው፣ ሚሲንግ ቫሊዩ፣ ሚኒመም ማክሲመሙ፣ ዲስትሪቢዩሽኑ ምን ይመስላል የሚለው አሉ። ለምሳሌ አንዳንድ ጊዜ ተሳስቶ የሆነ ሪዲንግ በጣም አውትላየር ይሆናል፣ ኦር እንዳልኩት ሚሲንግ ቫሊዩ ይኖረዋል። እሱን የምንረዳበት and then you do some kind of, okay, now once you understand how is also in time it's varying in certain, is it linear, is it very varying? As you can imagine, when you are recording solar, of course, but you can imagine there is seasonality in this case, a seasonality of the day. And you also cramped navigam, and so depending on the data coverage, you will be able to see that time series element. And then you start working on cleaning so that you can correct. You can do some correlation. Okay, now is the wind correlates with the season as well, or things like that, and things like that. So the temperature, wind distribution analysis, these are all different analyses you do to understand the data and to be able to prepare the data. And the next part is, of course, now, okay, you're, as I said, it's a path towards answering the business objective. And the point is that you have to now, because you're trying to select places that are optimal for the data. And then basically one is to really look at cross-country comparisons. So what are in different, because the data is given for 3 regions or countries, so you will be able to compare by using different comparisons, statistical tests, for example, doing ANOVA analysis, or also just basically, and then you write your key observations, right? So by basically looking at, do you observe something in this country versus in that country? For that, what kind of plot are good ones to plot? It's like, you put side by side. So just like anything, you would do, and then anything you have seen, if you haven't done, it's basically, it would help just putting things side by side or over plotting them so that you can understand, normalize them, things like that. so that you have a clearer understanding, and you just record that one. And then after that, so this is the data analytics. So you're not doing any modeling yet, but your observation of all of these things. So you have looked at, the data, the quality of the data, the time series part of the data, you're plotting these things, and then also by comparing just, how these variations change. And this is called descriptive, your kind of descriptive analysis. So you kind of have done all of that, and you're describing your observations. And then that same data and plots and observations and, your creativity and how to plot, you can put it also in interactive dashboard. And that's where comes like Streamlit. If you want to put it, you put it in a Streamlit, you show like the summary table, the summary of good plots and things like that, so that when other people come, they can now, without doing any of the actual coding, they are able to observe and get also their own understanding. So if you give it then to your boss then starts learning about the dashboard and the data without having them doing anything. Right? So that's one element. So in each of them, we have tried to provide what is the minimum essential to do, and then also what are the key performance indicators. So that means, if you are lost, you can come back to this and say like, okay, like what are they going to be looking at? Like when my boss or when the senior person look at, what are actually they are going to look at? What are the key things they are looking at? Sometimes they don't make it clear at work, but here we make it clear so that you know. And so this is basically just the things that we look at. If you have, built dashboard, the dashboard utility, the interactivity in the dashboard, the visual appeal of the dashboard, and the deployment success of the appeal, and other things as well. There are like, so for example, here in the first part is proactivity to learn, the EDA techniques you applied, the demonstrating statistical understanding, things like that are the key performance indicators, right? So the minimum essentials to do from all these tasks are basically, the 4 tasks, more or less. One is optional, is basically that at least if you are again lost, okay, what should I do? Just do these things, follow just these things. These are the minimum essential things to do in this one. And the submission, it's very clear. The first submission is GitHub link to your main branch. So basically, you should just know that how to submit that. And then in that GitHub, the code you should be working until Sunday to address these 2 tasks. Task 1, which is basically the setup, and task 2, basically working on the data. That means you are able to load the data in your Jupyter notebook, and you are able to do something with that and demonstrate in that Jupyter notebook. So these are the 2 things, at least if you have done that, that's great. That means what's a full mark for that is that how you do it and the quality of you do it, but this is what the interim submission is targeting for. And then the final submission, which will happen on Wednesday next week, is again, it's a GitHub link. In this case, finishing everything you have done, including if you have done the Streamlit dashboard and things. So the GitHub link that contains, again, so this GitHub link and this GitHub link are the same. It's just more, it helps us to just basically that you haven't changed it. So the link actually you will submit here and you will submit here is the same. The only difference that the amount of work that goes in the intermediate to late ትንሽ ነው ምክንያቱም እስከ እሑድ ብቻ የሰራችሁት ነው maybe addresses only this and maybe different branch አለው ግን merged ሆኖ main branch ላይ አለው Wednesday submit ስታረጉት ግን more work has been committed to it, so it has included all the other tasks relevant አለው so ሌላኛው just like report entry ላይ እንዳለው task 1 እና task 2 ታርጌት ያደረገ ሪፖርት እንዳለው የፋይናሉ ሪፖርት ደግሞ it includes everything, right? So whatever you manage to do to address the business objective and basically describing everything, all the tasks ያለው ሪፖርት ማለት ነው so and in your code we look at documentation, and in your activity ደግሞ በዚህ throughout the week 0 challenge we look at your collaboration, your communication. That means, are you asking more questions, are you eager, are you learning, are you helping, all of that is particularly for every company it's important. They want to hire, of course, the best people who really help others, or who collaborate, who are clear, who ask questions during meetings such that others can also learn from those questions, who collaborate with people the mindset for work is important. So that flexibility and professionalism. Do you arrive on time? Are you late? Do you pre-say, like, for example, I can't make it now, things like that. Very much that shows that your understanding of work environment is important. So that professionalism is also things that we consider, we observe. And so basically, if it is you have to manage, we know that you're working. So this is somehow you have to manage your time efficiently, plan accordingly, such that you deliver as much as you can. So there will be tutorials. So these are just tutorials, even if you are not there, if you don't make it. But we encourage that everyone makes it and ask questions. But if you don't make it, still it will be recorded. And now YouTube you will be able to see it afterwards. But these are just basically the parts. So introduction to challenge is me just done, but more details will follow on Slack, like if you have questions. And then there will be data science workflow, just more a general understanding of that will happen. So this is basically the bold ones are basically the morning one, and the other one is basically the afternoon one. So this afternoon there will be also just a small tutorial on Python environment, giving it up basic and CI/CD. Tomorrow the same, there will be in the morning data science workflow and CRISP PM basics. So it's basically just knowledge, just so that you know how things are done in different industries. There's the module for data analysis, just more introduction on that, and then also the more hands-on tutorial on data profiling and explorative data analysis, as well as also dashboard development on day 3 and Q&As as needed on day 4 and day 5. Okay. So, and there will be the references here to help you start. Okay, so now I have finished the challenge. ስለዚህ አሁን like at least everyone is clear, but you can ask any question, including the challenge, whatever you have, as well as also anything that's not clear to you, you can ask now. Okay, Abdulaziz. Do you have any question? Yes, Nabil. Yes, like so I am showing from an admin dashboard, but when you go to your content, exactly in 10x, you will be able to see the challenge. So for that, okay, let me just go to
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. I just want to know what is the difference between your intensive training and the one we are currently taking. What thing are we going to miss from the intensive one? That's the thing.
Yeah. So intensive one, we require a lot more time, right? So as you see it, so there you have you're basically we are requesting a full time. So one cannot do, for example, if you have another job, the intensive training is actually, yeah, it's basically you can't do it. And this one, even if you have another work, so it's basically the level of what we are requesting in terms of the amount of time you have to spend to finish this challenge is the most important part, let's say. So both are technical, so that means both require you be able to code, you'll be able to analyze data, and the topics are also similar, but the amount of the ask that we ask here, because we assume people have also other jobs to do, basically the level of things we expect has changed. So in intensive, we assume everybody doesn't have work, they are full-time, they can work 60 hours a week. And so we kind of make it very intensive and demanding in that sense. Here, it's the same tasks, same challenge, but more you could complete it while working on your own job. Is that clear? Okay. Anyone? Any other question? So I'm also just opening. Go on. So I'm just also just showing you what you actually would see when you look at when you log in. So let me just. So when you log in, so this is just more one test for me that when you log in, that's how you would see your environment. So that's very exactly like the trainee side of the 10x. So when, it's like these data will be appearing as you get more data, this data will be there. But the module is where the module is. So if it is in the to-do, you will just start it, but I think everybody's module now is in progress. So this is week 0 is your topic now, okay? So if you click that part, these are the assignments that you have to do, like whenever you want to submit, as I said, so when you are interim submission ለማድረግ እዚህ ጋር submit ታደርጋላችሁ ፋይናል ሰብሚሽኑ ኢንትሪም ሰብሚሽኑ ለዲስከቨሪው ለሪፖርቱ ለጊታቡ ይሆንና ለሪፖርቱ ይሆንና ከዛ ደግሞ ለፋይናል ሰብሚሽኑ ደግሞ ሪፖርቱና ጊታቡ ነው so just when you click submit then you will find you just takes you like what to do so this is where you will basically do submit your link okay and if you want to know also how you will be evaluated that report or that GitHub you can just see here the kind of the rubric basically we use and so if you want to see the challenge exactly the challenge document now you can just click that and you see the challenge document if you want to download it so that you can also read it on your own without just coming to 10x you can also just download it from here okay so that just this hopefully this is very clear okay so what other questions are there Freud yes it's true okay yeah are we able to use Google Colab yes but still even if you use Google Colab I think you can use anything but just you have to work on Git so Google Colab you can connect your Git as long as you connect with Git absolutely Sagni and then we still have the opportunity as we're working on the same career path as the one okay yeah exactly so it's very true Abdulaziz okay and then other questions maybe Magdes Ananisa Radate like who Radate do you want to ask
thank you so Isamal hello
Isamal
oh okay and then my question is there a way like we can get feedback let's say we worked on an EDA task do we get just marked or do we get like detailed review it would have been better if you did the EDA this way more professional approach do we get that
absolutely yes you do I think that's one of the most important parts we have been working is Sulaina so when you submit I mean later along that I'm just gonna now if you go here there are two things and you just submit and so በጣም ጩኸት አለ ማን ነው ሚውት ብታረጉት someone is mute we should mute it's probably Yasin Noor if you can just mute it that would be great and then also Muharaj you can mute Muhajir you can mute Muhajir great thanks so that noise in down no okay so Radate so if you go there አንደኛው እንዳልሽው just ብለሽ ይሄን ስታረጊ እና ሰሚት ስታረጊ you will be able to see really feedback detailed feedback on each of them ለምን እንደዛ እንዳለ the overall feedback and things like that the other one you can use is just actually the assistant you can actually write as የመጀመሪያው ታስኩን summarize እሱ ያደርግልሻል assistant እሱ ማለት so it's actually you can get then you can actually ask it question because this assistant knows what the data is supposed to be. As you can imagine, what's like the challenge it knows already, right? So it's kind of, you can actually interact, let alone even after submission. But before submission, you can actually ask a lot of questions here, and that assistant will be able to help you on that as well, given that it has that context, what you need to do, what is the how you will be evaluated in Milan management. But even after the submitting, also you'll get feedback, and you can work on that feedback as well. Is that clear?
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Bada.
Yeah. Okay. Who else we have? Mikes, Kitinen. Shalom, it's basically intensive training, Nidu full-time zone. While this one, you can actually deliver the same thing, but the intensity is different. So this one requires 30 hours like commitment, while the other one is 60 hours per week commitment. So the challenges and the areas are similar, but the main difference is that this one you can work with other work, like if you have already other work, you can actually deliver and fulfill. The other one, you have to be full-time, the intensive training. So basically that. So hopefully that summarizes it. Leila, Mikas, when
I'm the mechanic.
I'm the Mikan.
እንትኑ ላይ የአሳይመንት ሰብሚሽኑ ላይ ሁለት ሰብሚሽን እንዳለ አይተናል፣ ኢንተሪም እና ፋይናል ጋር ማለት ነው።
ያ
ሁለቱም እያንዳንዳቸው አንደኛው የሂሳብ ሪፖርት ሰብሚት እናደርግበት እና ሁለተኛው ሪፖርት ነው። ሪፖርቱ ላይ አክቹዋሊ ምንድን ነው ኤክስፔክት የሚደረግበት?
So if you look at the challenge document, report 2, እዚህ ጋር ስትመጣ deliverables ላይ that's what it is. So report, an interim report covering your week 0 plan, including task 1 summary, like ምን እንዳረጋችሁ just summarize ታረጋላችሁ. Just Git environment setup, how did you set up, did you finish? It's kind of, and what was your plan, and what was what you planned, what you got, why didn't, was there an issue? You describe that. ሁለተኛው ደግሞ approach, it asks to approach. So what have you done? Like, did you do data analysis? If you do, what did you get? It's kind of, you're kind of reporting. Interim is to really help you synchronize. You know, the final one is the more really the report. But the intermediate one is to help you evaluate yourself as well, just to say like, okay, what have I done? Did I plan this? Did I achieve my plan? Did I succeed in this, on that? So yeah, it's clear on Zignola. Final report covering, written in a medium blog style sheet, in a markdown or PDF style. This is basically, if you were to write a medium blog about your work, you choose how you report it. Like that's for the final one. You can post it in LinkedIn, you can post it in Medium. So that's suitable for that style. That means you describe it in a way that is like, shows what was the request, what was the problem, what you have achieved, the techniques that are applied, things like that, as much detail as possible.
About the GitHub report, እንዳለ ለዚህ ኮርስ ማለት ነው ለሶስት ወር አንድ ሪፖርት ነው ክሬት አድርገን
ለሶስት ወር ሳይሆን ለዚህ ለእያንዳንዱ ለዊክ 0 አንድ ሪፖዚተሪ so you can call it 10 academy dash week 0, right? That would be one for week 0. So you work everything on that. But instead of 10 academy week 0, you can also call it actually just like the name, which is called, you know, more like when people look at it, what do they see, right? So, you know, in principle, you can just solar data discovery or solar data, let's say, you can even call it exactly moonlight optimization, right? So something like that, so that when people look at your GitHub profile, they see that you have worked, on optimization for a company, something just like that. That would help. So for each week, you will have one repository.
Inside
But
that,
it will be one
data,
account. I mean, you should really use just one account. I mean, like account, you should not change. Account means,
ለእያንዳንዱ ዊክ አንዳንድ ሪፖ ክሬት ካደረግን በኋላ
yeah,
ቤዝዶን አሳይመንት ደግሞ አዲሽናል ብራንቾች ክሬት እናደርጋለን።
exactly.
መጨረሻ ላይ ግን ሰብሚት የምናደርገው ሜን ብራንቹ ነው።
After exactly merging your different works, so we look at only main branch. We look at other branches, but actually we like, in a sense, we look at how you created your branch, things like that in the analysis. But the actual content we take, we only guarantee that it's only from the main branch that we will consider fully. The rest are more for metadata understanding, whether you were able to branch things, how did you commit, things like that. We will just look, because to give feedback and to do stuff as well. Okay.
Thanks.
Great. Anyone? And again, hopefully I want you to go from here being very clear, both on the challenge, what needs to be done, and also the overall idea, right? The overall thing that what we are trying to do, that why we spend the time. We need really why we should commit Zile, because you come in here, it's an opportunity. For every opportunity can only make sense if you seize it, right? ካልሰራንበት ያው ነው ምንም እንትን አይደለም። ስለዚህ I want you to be motivated. I want you to really have clarity. Clarity brings motivation. ስለዚህ if you're not clear, of course you will not be motivated because you don't know for what. ስለዚህ ክሊር እንዲሆንላችሁ የትኛውንም ጥያቄ ያንንም ጥያቄ የምትጠይቁት ደግሞ ሌላውንም ሰው ክሊር ያደርግለታል። so feel free. Okay. Yes, Hussein, Slack is the main place where we just have quick things we exchange. But if you also want to commit, for example, comment on things, other places in 10x, there is places where you can actually also write some comments. But like, for example, in the challenge document, if something is not clear, you can actually write it here as well. But I would say this is a very slow response you will get. But a Slack, you'll get a very rapid responses. And yeah, the data set, I think it's already EOCS. The data set is basically ቅድም እንዳሳየሁት እዛው ቻሌንጁን ስታየው or ስታዩት, that's what you get. The data, if I click the data, like you can see, that's basically it will just direct me to download the data. So it's a zipped data in Google Drive. So okay, anyone else? Yes, Firalo.
Yes.
Yeah, you can submit. Yeah, go on. Who's speaking?
Kanani-san.
Is she?
My question is, we will have a final exam next week. So is there a consequence for missing a meeting?
I think we understand that. So if you have other things, very important things, you have to go and attend, it's fine. I think we understand. የዚህ ትልቁ የኬም ትልቁ difference is we understand that you might be working or you have other things. You may be a student, you have maybe exam. So yes, we understand. So we will not, that one will not be, that's more encouraged that when you can attend it. If not, just you can watch the video and it should be fine. So that's
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else? Hello. Yeah.
I joined the meeting late and I didn't catch about the assessment part. Can you make it clear for me?
The assessment, so basically as simple as, so whenever, the challenge is clear, right? You have got what the challenge is, you do all these tasks, and these tasks are evaluated when you are here. Each task, for example, for GitHub, if I go to the submit, and if I am submitting here, as I said, you can actually get some ideas on the assistance, what it is and how it's evaluated. But already here, you can look at how we assess, like what is the assessment criteria. So the code organization, repository organization, interim documentation, and interim functionality and task progress, use of version control. So these are the different dimensions we look at. So in each of them, it gives you what we consider high, like when a code organization is really excellent, what it means is that it demonstrates these things: significant progress in applying object-oriented, programming principle, code is consistently structured. So into detail what it means also average, it will tell you. So for every pose for like the report to, like when we have interim report, you can look at what we look at: the task planning and strategy. We look at feasibility and proactive planning. We look at and another one is clarity and organization of report we look at. And for each of them, you can see what, assessment very clearly on what suppose, if something is not clear, you can come to the assessment and see what is being looked at. But beyond that ደግሞ ምንድን ነው ያለው እንትንም አለ. So basically you like other elements we look at are communication, support. Sorry for my background noise. So this professionalism, flexibility, collaboration, other things we look at. These are data that we observe also from different Slack and Gmeet and things like that. So, but these are more just to understand your kind of like how serious, how ready it is. It's just, it will tell you where you are. If you look at it from another angle, this data will tell you also where you are based on our understanding for a professional work in this area. So, again, for actual submission, that is sufficient. That's clear. Good enough.
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Great. So I think let me stop here.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. One question. Let's. Who is it? Yeah, one.
I'm Faisal. Thank you, Baba. My question is, where we find the uploaded videos? You said in the YouTube. Where we find the links?
I think they will share immediately once the videos stopped recording. Once a meeting or any meeting then they will upload and share it in Slack.
Okay, thank you.
So the actual link they will just share in Slack. So you will have it.
Can I ask?
Yeah. Go on.
Hello.
Hello, can I ask one question?
Yes, you can. Just before you ask, Abel, every meeting, we really just don't take any meetings less serious. We only ask you to come in a meeting when it's serious, important. So I think in that sense, every meeting is important. If you can't make it, we understand, but really take it. We will not just ask any like meeting that's not important. So in that sense, it's every part is essential. So just go on.
Okay, my question is that I think I'm really having a hard time understanding about the interim report and the technical final report. As I mentioned, interim report is about updating what we have done on the project, right? So this can be viewed on our GitHub commit history, right? So
yes,
I'm thinking about that. What is the difference between our final report and the interim report? The final report, as I said, it must be in block style, right?
Yes. So let me just, maybe it's very simple. If you write what your thoughts and analyzed early, your final report becomes easy. If you write a thesis and you only just wait at the end to write it, it will become, you lose many things you have done. It will become challenging and hard. So the interim report is really to help you capture whatever you have done until that moment. It's an organizing principle. So that's why you don't have to make it very blog style. It's just more you're capturing notes, like you're taking notes, putting them together, but you will take from that, your final report includes that one as well. So if you have done it really good, intermediate report, your final report, writing your final report becomes very easy.
Okay, so interim report must be submitted so many times in a week, right?
No, it's just like, so like for this challenge, there's only one interim report, but then there is, so I mean, in the calendar, so you have to know this is a technical challenge. There is also a career challenge, so which means more about communication and more about other, like the soft skills. But this one is just one. For this one, you have one interim report.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask one question,
Yeah.
please? Okay. I have one question. At the end of the program, will there be opportunities for internships or company attachments, like, for example, for job placement or further training? Or
So that's, yes.
Are you collaborating with companies?
Yes, we do. Yeah. So including like during graduation, normally we have, I think if someone Abel Adamu, if he can mute, that would be great, because there's a noise. So yes, even during Abel Adamu, if he can mute, that would be good. Just there's a noise. So even during graduation, we have companies, mostly banks and financial sector, would come there just to interact. But also, yeah, like, so with Kifiya, we are working for these opportunities. So there has been, yeah. So the simple answer is that we definitely want to connect with companies, and if when companies ask us, we recommend as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I think with that, I have to leave now, but if you have any other questions, please just put it Slack lane Nargo. We are all there. So just people with the team will, but hopefully this is clear and you know exactly what to do. Yeah.
እዚህ አሳይመንቱ ላይ ሰብሚት ሲደረግ እንዳለ አሁን ለምሳሌ ቻሌንጆች አሉ። አሁን ቅድም ዶክመንት ያየሁት ነበረ። እዛ ላይ ቻሌንጆቹ ያለውን ሰብሚት እዛ ላይ ያለውን ነው ሰብሚት የምናደርገው ኦር
ታስኩ ቅድም አሁን ሰመራይዝ ያደረኩት ታስክ አለ አይደል? ይሄ ታስክ
ሰመራይ መጨረሻ ላይ
የዚህ ላይ ታስክ የነዚህ ታስኮች ሰብሚሽን እንደተባለው ደሊቨሬብል የሚለው ላይ ብታየው ደሊቨሬብል ላይ ምን እንደሚቀረብ እዚህ ጋር ግልጽ ነው። what to submit የሚለው ላይ ማለት ነው። so what to submit, you will have to submit ለኢንትሪሙ Sunday ላይ Wednesday ላይ what to submit for Sunday, you will have GitHub link and interim report that contains this. On Wednesday ደግሞ እነዚህ so when you go to the እንትኑ ላይ therefore like so GitHub ላይ ለኢንትሪሙ የኢንትሪም GitHub ከዛ ታስክ ጋር ነው የሚገናኘው ይሄ። so ስለዚህ it's really about this challenge, the tasks about this challenge, what's described in the deliverable, you will submit your GitHub link, your report link, and then the final the same.
መጨረሻ ላይ አንድ ልጠይቅ መጨረሻ ላይ ከዚህ ጋር አሁን እዚህ ላይ ሁሏቸው በራሳችን ሰርተን ነው አታች ብናደርገው አታችመንት ይላል ፎርማቱ ላይ እዛ ላይ ነው አድ ብናደርገው ማለት ነው የሰራነው ፒዲኤፍ ታች ላይ ነው።
ግን ምንድነው እዚህ ጋር your actual report you actually have to put it in I think the team will explain, but you have to actually put your report, you write it if it's a report. If it's a GitHub link, you just only the GitHub link, the actual GitHub link you actually put here. Here attachments are other supporting documents if you have generated image, things like that, not the actual GitHub link. So እዚህ ጋር የGitHub ሊንኩን ታደርጋለህ። The same is for report, you have to do the report you know, that's again the Google, just as you get Milon Ambabo, the Google Drive link to your PDF. Yeah. Arif. Great, awesome, really excited to see everyone, and good luck, and we are here to support. Everything UTC is UTC. ስለዚህ ፋይሰል just እስኪ ብዙ ሁሉን ነገር so that like clear ለማድረግ UTC እናደርጋለን፣ ግን ከዩቲሲ ወደ ኢትዮጵያ ለማድረግ just +3 መጨመር because Ethiopia UTC +3 ስለሆነ so if it says 8 p.m. UTC it means 11 p.m. Ethiopian time, which means 11 ሰዓት ምንድነው 5 ሰዓት ከማታው ማለት so just very simple እንትን ነው። Great, thanks everyone, cheers. በቃ ሰላም ሁኑ፣ መልካም እድል። ባይ። እሺ
Thank you, Abby. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. There are a couple of questions.
So ቅድም ተራፕ ያላቸው ነገሮች ላይ ምን ልጨምር፣ ሰሜት ስታደርጉ ፒዲኤፍ ወይም ይሄ ዶክመንት ስታደርጉ አክሰስ መስጠት እንዳትረሱ። ኤኒዋን ዊዝ ዘ ሊንክ አድርጋችሁ ነው ሊንኩን ሰሜት የምታደርጉልን ግሬድ ለማድረግ ኢዚ እንዲሆን ማለት ነው። እና ግሬድ ሪተርን ስናደርግም ፈጥኖ እንዲደርሳችሁ ማለት ነው። እና ኤኒ questions that you have like ስላክ ላይ በደንብ ኮሚኒኬት አድርጉ። ውመን ኦንሊ ላይ ደግሞ ሴቶች በደንብ እናውራበት፣ እዛ ላይ በደንብ ኢንጌጅ እናድርግበት። ጉድ ላክ። አቤት አዲስ አቤል I think you're not
የሴቶችና ስላክ የሚለው ማለት ነው። ስላክ ላይ እንትን ስል አወረደው፣ ግን ሊንኩ ወይም ደግሞ በክፍያ ወይም ቴሌት በፔመንት የሚገባው ሊንኩ ላይ ባለው እዛ ላይ አገባ አፑን ብቻ ስላወረደ።
ኦኬ ኦኬ ሶ እኛ ዌልካም ኢሜል ላይ የላክነው ሊንክ አለ። ከዛ ደግሞ አክቹሊ ትላንትና አፕዴትድ ሊንክ ብለን ኢሜል ልከን አልነበረ? እዛ ላይ ያለውን ስላክ ሊንክ ስትነኪው ዳውንሎድ ያደረግሽው ስላክ ላይ በቴን አካደሚ እንትን ወርክ ስፔስ ያስገባል።
ኦኬ እኔ የማስገባው
አዎ ኢሜላችሁ ሬጅስተር ባደረጋችሁበት ኢሜል ላይ ማለት ነው። ራሱ ሎጊን ያደርጋል። ላይክ ቹዘን ኢሜል ሲሉሽ ጉግል አካውንት ስትመርጭለት ሬጅስተር ያደረግሽበትን ጉግል አካውንት ምረጭለት።
ኦኬ መጀመሪያ ስገባ ግን የእንትኑ የዩዘር እናንተ ነው የሚያስገባው። ጻፊ ብሎኝ ስጽፍ አላመጣልኝ ነው።
ሁሉም ላይ ያስገባሽ።
ሌላኛው
አቤል አዳም ትንሽ ኖይዝ አለ እና ይቅርታ አንዴ
ሌላኛው ምንድነው ቴኔክስ ላይ ሎጊን ኢሹ ያለባችሁ ካላችሁ ፕሊስ ስላክ ላይ ጻፉልን። እዛ አትሊስት ፊክስ ማድረግ ይቀላል። እዚህ ጋር ከሚጻፉት ኮሜንቶች ሳይ ብዙ የቴኔክስ ሎጊን ኢሹዎች አሉ። ስለዚህ አስማቻስ ዊካን እንትን ላይ ኦል ቴኔክስ ሰፖርት ላይ ጻፉልን ኢሹ ያለባችሁ ቴኔክስ አክሰስ ማድረግ ያልቻላችሁ። ምክንያቱም ቻሌንጅ ዶክመንቱም እዛው ላይ ነው ያለው፣ አሳይመንቱም እዛው ላይ ነው ያለው። ኤቭሪቲንግ ዳት ዩ ኒድ ቱ ሰብሚት ኦር ዩ ኒድ ቱ ዱ እዛ ላይ ስላለ በተቻላችሁ አቅም ኮንታክት አድርጉን ስላክ ላይ። እና ስላክ ላይ መግባት ያልቻላችሁ ሰዎች ኢሜይልም ወይ ላኩልን አትሊስት እንድናቅ ኢሹ የቱ ጋር እንዳለ።
ኢሜይልን ፎርዋርድ ላድርግልሽ ወይ ወዳንቺ?
እሺ ችግር የለውም። እዚህ ላይ ወይ ወደ እኔ ጻፊልኝ ኦር ኢሜይል ለማክዳም መጻፍ ትችላለሽ።
እሺ
ቀጣይ ሴሽን የሚሆነው 10 ሰዓት ላይ ስለሆነ ያ ቻሌንጅ ኢንትሮዳክሽኑ አብሮ ስለተደረገ 10 ሰዓት ላይ ደግሞ ሴሽን ሪኮርድ ፖስት እናደርጋለን።
እሺ ቴንክ ዩ መቅደም አንድ
ይቅርታ
ለመጠየቅ እንትን ሼር የተደረገው ስኬጁል ላይ ማለት ቅድም ኤክስፕሌን አደረግሽን ላይ መቅደስ ታይም አሁን ለምሳሌ አሁን የተደረገው ሚቲንግ 12 ሰዓት ተኩል ነው የሚለው which means የኤቲ ላይ ነው አሁን የገባ ነው ማለት ነው። ሁሉም እዚህ ጋር ያለው ስኬጁል በኢኤቲ ስኬጁል ነው የተደረገው ወይስ ስለዚህ ሁሉም
በኢኤቲ ነው። ግን ያው የጂሜሉ ታይም ዞን ይወስነዋል አንተ የት እንዳለህ ማለት ነው። ግን ሁላችንም ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ስለሆነን እና ጂሜልህም ላይክ በኢኤቲ የሚቆጥር ከሆነ እንደዛ ነው የሚያደርገው።
አገባኝ። ስለዚህ አሁን በስኬጁሉ መሰረት አሁን 8 ተኩል አለን ማለት ነው።
8 ተኩል ላይ የነበረው ቻሌንጅ ኢንትሮዳክሽን አልነበረ? ግን ቻሌንጅ ኢንትሮዳክሽኑን ከየመጀመሪያው ሴሽን ጋር አብረን ስላደረግነው አይኖርም ማለት ነው 8 ተኩል ላይ።
ስለዚህ 10 ሰዓት። ቴንክ ዩ
you're welcome. ሌላ ሰው አንድ ጥያቄ ሊጠይቅ የነበረ ሰው ነበር።
እኔ ነበርኩ። ይቅርታ
ችግር የለም።
ሪከርድ ይደረጋል አይደለ? የ10 ሰዓቱ
ሁሉም ሴሽን ሪኮርድ ይደረጋል። ሪኮርድ ሳይደረግ ያልፍ ሴሽን የለም። ይህን ዊኬንዳችሁን ተጠቅማችሁ ሰብሚት ማድረግ እንዳትረሱ። ኤንትሪ እና ፋይናል ሰብሚሽን because that's basically the week 0 assessment። ስለዚህ I'm sorry
እሺ ትንሽ የስኬጁል ግራ ስላጋባሉ ማለት እዚህ ላይ ያለው ስኬጁል ዲፍሬንትሊ ማለት አሁን ለምሳሌ ዊክ 0 ላይ መቼ እንደምናስገባ አሁን አየሁት እና ቀጣዮቹ እንደዚህ ነው በየሳምንቱ ፊክስ ነው የሚደረጉት ወይስ ሳምንት ብናደርጋቸው ቀናቶች እንዴት ናቸው? አሁን ለምሳሌ የፋይናል ሰብሚሽኑ እሑድ ነው የሚለው ሰንዴ
አይደለም። ፋይናል ሰብሚሽን ነው።
ይኸውልህ ምንድነው የሚሆነው መሰለህ፣ በየሳምንቱ ዊኮች ቻሌንጆች ይኖሩናል። በዛ ቻሌንጆች ውስጥ 2 ሰብሚሽን ኤክስፔክት ይደረጋል። ያ ማለት የመጀመሪያው ኢንተርሚዲየት ሰብሚሽን ነው፣ ሁለተኛው ደግሞ ፋይናል ሰብሚሽን ነው። ምን ማለት ነው? ኢንተርሚዲየት ማለት ምን እየሰራህ ነው የሚለውን ለኛ የሚነግረን ነው። ይሄ ኦፕን እንትን አይደለም፣ ዝም ብሎ ቻሌንጅ ብቻ ተሰጥቶ ከዛ በኋላ ፋይናሊ የሆነ የሰራችሁትን ስራ የምንቀበልበት ነው። ምክንያቱም እሱኛው ወይ የሚሆነው ለምንድነው ለሌሎች ትሬኒንጎች ነው እንጂ ለዚህኛው አይሰራም። ይሄኛው ምንድነው እያንዳንዱን ስራህን ኦብዘርቭ ማድረግ ስለምንፈልግ አትሊስት ሃፍ ኤ ዊክ ላይ ምን ሰርታል እስከዛሬ የሚለውን ምን ያክል ኢንጌጅ አድርጋል የሚለውን ማወቅ ስለምንፈልግ ለዛ ኢንተርሚዲየት ሰብሚሽን አለ። ለኢንተርሚዲየት ሰብሚሽኑ ደግሞ ሪፖርትና ጊትሃብ ይኖራል። ስለዚህ ለፋይናሉም ደግሞ ሪፖርትና ጊትሃብ አለ። ስለዚህ ኢንተርሚዲየት ሰብሚሽኑ የሰራኸውን እስከ ኢንተርሚዲየት ሰብሚሽን ድረስ የሰራኸውን ፕላን ያደረግከው የነበረውን የሰራኸውን ምናምን ኤክስፕሌን የምታደርግበት ይሆናል። ለፋይናል ደግሞ ፋይናሊ ፉሊ ኤንድ ቱ ኤንድ ከዚህ ጀምሬ ተነስቼ ይሄን ፕላን አድርጌ ይሄን ሰርቼ ይሄን አናሊሲስ ወስጄ ይሄኛውን ሶሉሽን ፕሮቫይድ አድርጌያለሁ ለሚጠበቅብኝ ካምፓኒ ብለህ የምትልበት ሲሆን ፉል ዶክመንት ነው የሚሆነው ማለት ነው። ግልጽ ነው?
ግልጽ ነው። አመሰግናለሁ።
እሺ ግርማይ እጅ ያወጣል ለምሳሌ ቲንክ ከሌላ if everything is clear like as much as you can ሴሽኖች ሚስ ባታደርጉ አሪፍ ነው። በተለይ ስፔሻሊ ጀማሪዎች ምናምን ከሆናችሁ በተቻላችሁ አቅም ሴሽኖችን ጆይን አድርጋችሁ ጥያቄም ካላችሁ ክሊር ያልሆነም ነገር ካለ እዛ ላይ የምንፈታበት ስለሚሆን ሴሽኖችን ጆይን አድርጉ። አሁን 10 ሰዓትም ያለውን ሴሽን ጆይን ብታደርጉ ጥሩ ነው። በጣም ክሪቲካል የሆነ ኬዝ ከሌላችሁ በስተቀር ሴሽኖችን ሚስ ባታደርጉ አሪፍ ነው። ሌላ ጥያቄ አለ? ተስፋ ሚካኤል፣ ሀብታሙ፣ ግርማይ። እሺ
የሞጁል ስር ሲገባ አሳይመንት ነው ስለዚህ ሲከፈቱ ወደ አሳይመንት ነው የሚሄደው ታስኮቹን አያመጣቸውና ሊንክ የተደረገው ስህተት አለበት መሰለኝ
አይ እስቲ ወይ ስክሪንህን ሼር ታደርግልኝ ሞር ይቀለናል ሶልቭ ለማድረግ ሚንዋይል ሌላ ጥያቄ ያለው ሰው ካለ እሱ ስክሪን ሼር እስኪያደርግ ድረስ ሀብታሙ አይ ቲንክ እጅ አንስተሃል መሰለኝ ኦር ግርማይ
አሁን ይታያል
አልመጣም እስካሁን አሁን እየመጣ ነው እሺ
ኦኬ ይሄኛው አሁን
ሶ ምንድነው
ወዴት ነው የሚሄደው ወደ ይሄኛው ፔጅ ጋር ነው የሚሄደው
ስለዚህ ይሄን ሰብሚት የምታደርገው ነው
ያሉ
እሱ ጎን ላይ ሰብሚት የምታደርግበት ኦር ዋትስ ኤክስፔክትድ ፍሮም ዩ ነው ግን እዚህ ቱ ዱ ላይ ወይም ኢን ፕሮግረስ ላይ ብትመልሰው ታቧ ምትነካት ወደ ኢን ፕሮግረስ ኢን ፕሮግረስ ምትለዋለች አይደለ ከስር ላይ ኢን ፕሮግረስ ቱ ዱ ደን
ለምሳሌ እዚህ ጋር ሲከፍተው
ነው እሱን ሳይሆን መክፈት ያለብህ እቺ ኢን ፕሮግረስ ኦር ቱ ዱ ምትለዋ ታቤለች ከክቧ ነገር በታች እሷን ስትነካት ዜሮ አሰስመንት እሱን ክሊክ ስታደርገው ይመጣልሃል እቺን መሀል ላይ ያለችው ነጯን ፓርት ክሊክ ብታረጋት እሱ ሙቭ ያደርጋል
ከዛ ወደ ታች ይገባል ነው
ወደ ቻሌንጅ ዶክመንት መጥባት ይችላል ባክ በለውና
ቴንክ ዩ
ቻሌንጅ ዶክመንት አላገኘህም አሁንም ክሊክ ያላደረከው ለዛ ነው
የኛው
ቻሌንጅ ካለ ቪው ቻሌንጅ
ዶክመንት ለማየት ይጋ ማለት
ቪው ቻሌንጅ ዶክመንት ስለሆነ
I got it this one
okay exactly thank you እሺ ሀብታሙ ሚውትድ ነህ እያወራህ ከሆነ ሄሎ ሀብታሙ ይሰማሃል ምናልባት እያወራኸኝ ከሆነ ሚውትድ ነህ እኛ እየሰማንህ አይደለም
Okay, I want to say thanks. First, my question is on based on our interim submission and our final submission. What our interim submission? I think when I tell you something for you in my I think that የኛን ፕሮግረስ ለማሳየት ነው ኢንተርም ሰብሚሽን ማቅረብ የሚገባው but in final submission yet ድረስ ነው up to what next what step ድረስ ነው ሄደው something like Jupyter notebook ለምንሰራ ከሆነ የት ድረስ አሁን ለምሳሌ እስከ ዲፕሎይመንት ድረስ after pre processing something data visualization ምናምኖችን ሰርተን ነው ወይስ እስከምን ድረስ ነው ፕሮጀክታችን የሚሆነው ለምሳሌ
እሺ ጥሩ ጥያቄ ለኢንትሪም ሰብሚሽን ፕሮግረሳችሁን አፕዴት የምታደርጉበት ነው ለፋይናል ሰብሚሽን ደግሞ ሙሉ ለሙሉ ስለ ፕሮጀክቱ ስለዛ ፕሮጀክት starting from the problem እስከ ሶሉሽን ድራይቭ ሶሉሽን እስከሰጣችሁት ድረስ ያለውን ፉል ስቴፕ የሰራችሁትን ስራ ሪፖርት የምታደርጉበት ነው ያ ማለት ጁፒተር ኖትቡክ ላይ አናሊሲስ ሰራ and streamlit deploy ያደረግ any other additional utility functionዎችን ጻፍ ግን ይሄ ሁሉ ፈንክሽኖች የሰራው አናሊሲስ ምናምን የሚገልጸው as long as የትኛው ሀገር ላይ ሶላር ፓነል ላስቀምጥ አላስቀምጥ የሚለው መልስ ነው ለኔ የሚሰጠኝ ስለዚህ እሱን መልስ አድርጎ ኮምፓይል ማድረግ ነው የፋይናል ሪፖርቱ ያ ከዛ ፕሮብሌሙ ይሄ ነበረ ዴታ ኦብዘርቬሽን ይሄ ነው ዴታ አንደርስታንዲንግ based on this data እና based on what I understand ይሄን ሶሉሽን እሰጥሻለሁ ነው የምትለኝ ስለዚህ የሰራህበትን ስቴፕ ሙሉ ትገልጻለህ ማለት ነው ፋይናሉ ላይ ሲሆን ኢንትሪም ላይ ሲሆን ግን not complete as the final just you know what to do only ያሰብከው ምን ለመስራት ነው ይሄን ሶልቭ ለማድረግ ይሄን አፕሮች እጠቀማለሁ ለታስኩ ይሄን ለታስኩ ይሄን ምናምን ብለህ የምትጽፈውን ነው እንጂ የምትጽፈው ኤግዛክትሊ ሶሉሽን ላይ ስላልደረስክ ሶሉሽን የለህም። አፕሮችን ግን ጽፋለህ።
ፋይናል ሰብሚሽናችን ላይ ነው ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ዲፕሎይ ማድረግ ነው መጨረሻ ላይ ያለን ሪፖርት ጀስት ፋይናል
ሰብሚሽን ላይ ሁሉንም ነገር ነው
እንትኖችንም ይዛል ማለት ነው። አሁን ለምሳሌ እንደ ሊንክ ሳይሆን እናስገባው ፋይናል አሁን መጨረሻ ላይ ዲፕሎይ የምናደርጋቸው አሉ። ዲፕሎይ ከምናደርጋቸው በፊት ያሉትን ስቴፖች በአጠቃላይ ነው ፋይናል ላይ የምናስገባው ማለት ነው።
አዎ ለምሳሌ አሁን ስትሪምሊት ዲፕሎይ ያደረግ ስለዚህ ስክሪንሾቶች ይኖርሃል። ሶ ዶስ ስክሪንሾትስ ካን ቢ አታችድ እንደ አታችመንት ሆነው አታች መደረግ ይችላሉ። ግን ዋናው ነገር ለሪፖርት should have to contain የሪፖርታችሁ ኢንድ ቱ ኢንድ የሰራችሁት ስራ። ለምሳሌ ፕሮብሌም ይሄ ነበር፣ ይሄን አይነት አፕሮች ተጠቀምኩ ለዳታ አናሊሲስ፣ እንደዚህ አይነት ኢንሳይቶችን አገኘሁኝ። ኢንሳይቶቹ በፕሎት ከሆነ የሚቀርቡት በፕሎት፣ በቴብል ከሆነ የሚቀርቡት በቴብል ኦር በሌላ ኤኒ አዘር ሜካኒዝም አንተ ሲዩት ያደርጋል ብለህ ያሰብከውም በዛ ኮምፓይል አድርገህ ታቀርባለህ ማለት ነው።
ኦኬ ታንክስ።
እሺ ቴንክ ዩ።
ኦኬ
እሺ ደስታው
ይሰማል?
አዎ
ሄሎ
ይሰማል።
አይ እኔ ቱሎቹ ጋር ነው የምንጠቀመው። አይዲ እኛ ፋሚሊያር የሆነውን መጠቀም እንችላለን አይደል? ለምሳሌ ፓይቻር ነው።
Yes, you can use any ID, you can use anything, but we want to see your code on GitHub.
ኦኬ ጊታፕ ላይ የግድ ሊንክ መሆን አለበት እንጂ ቱሉ ችግር የለውም።
Yes, we don't have any issue with the tools that you are going to use, but we want to see what you have done in GitHub.
ኦኬ አመሰግናለሁ።
ተስፋ ሚካኤል
Yes, ይሰማል?
Yes.
ሄሎ ኦኬ
Yes,
የኔ
ይሰማል።
ጥያቄ ሁለት ነው። የመጀመሪያው የሬኮርዲንግ ሴሽኑ ሊንክ የት ነው የምናገኘው? ሁለተኛው ደግሞ የስላክ ላይ ዳውንሎድ ያደረኩት ቨርዥን ትራያል ቨርዥን ነው እና አፍተር 28 ዴይስ ኤክስፓየር ያደርጋል እያለኝ is there an unlimited version of it ካለ እንድትነግሩኝ። ቴንክ ዩ።
For now, you don't have to be concerned about the trial version of the Slack. That's what we can take care of it after 28 days. So don't think about it. You cannot do anything about the Slack one. But for the recording, we will create a channel called or recordings. So you will find out the recordings there 30 minutes after the session. Is that clear?
Yes, that's very clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Trenya.
እሺ አመሰግናለሁ። የአሳይመንቱ በጣም ገብቶኛል። ሪፖርቱ ግን አንደርስታንድ አላደረኩትም። ማለት የፋይናሉ ላይ ትሬብ ሪፖርት ማለት ሪፖርቱ ትንሽ አንደርስታንድ አላደረኩትም። እሱ ላይ ግልጽ ብታደርግልኝ ደስ ይለኛል። አመሰግናለሁ።
ምንድነው ግልጽ ያልሆነው? ስፔሲፊካሊ ለምሳሌ ምንድነው ክሊር ነው?
አሁን ለምሳሌ ቻሌንጅ አለ አይደለ?
እሺ
ሁለት ቦታ ሪፖርት እና ቻሌንጅ አለ። ፋይናል ቻሌንጅ እና ሪፖርት አለ። ቻሌንጅ ብናደርገው የተሰጠ ታስክ አለ።
እሺ
እሱ ላይ ዲፔንድ ሆነን እንሰራዋለን።
እሺ
ሪፖርቱስ ምን ላይ ነው ዲፔንድ ሆኖና ቢሰራው?
ሪፖርቱም የሚሰራው የተሰጠው ታስክ ላይ ነው። 4 ታስኮች ተሰጥተዋል። So from those 4 tasks, you have a plan first, because if you don't have plan, you will not know what's the problem, what's the solution you are going to give. So you would identify the problem. You would have you have to go through the tasks, which is your approach. Then you will write those as a report format. The same as you are writing codes, you will have a similar version of it in report format.
አመሰግናለሁ።
Thank you. Any question? If not, let's conclude it. Let's wrap up it here, and we can proceed on the next session at 10 local time. Thank you everyone for joining.
Emilian, I think we can stop the recording.